You know what this is? These aren't just some random books with a few beautiful words. This is my childhood. Unfortunately though, I don't have all the books from my youth, from my childhood, but I've got a few that made a big impression on me. So I want to show them to you, and I want to make a sort of writing experiment with it. So first I'm gonna take a shower, I'm gonna cozy up, and then we can dive into these beautiful books. The first book I remember from my childhood is Little Wanderer. It's a Dutch little story, and it's about a little dog that is running away from its home, and he is found by a little girl who wants to take him home. But of course the grumpy owner of the dog is come to find him and wants to take him home. This book, when I was very little, made me tear up a bit. To be honest, I bawled my eyes out. It's written very old-fashioned. It's a sort of an old Dutch use of language, but it's so cute. The little challenge for myself is coming up with an idea for a short story. So I have to make a character and a little bit of world building. And I want to find those things in these books. So whenever I'm reading one of the books of my childhood, I write those things down, like it could be a color of the eyes, or a character trait, or a world building aspect. I will write down everything, and at the end I'm going to try to make a little story out of it. Next up, I wanted to read some fairy tales. This is not the book I had when I was little, but I thought I would give it a shot for this video. And of course, while I was editing this video, I found the right one. I decided to pick out 2 stories with the help of a number generator, but quickly realized that these stories do not even come close to my childhood fairy tales that I loved so much. So I decided to scrap this book altogether. Next up is Cindy Danst de Zomer door. It translates to Cindy Dances Through the Summer. I decided to listen to some music as I delved back into my childhood. In this story we follow main character Cindy, who just joined ballet classes together with her friends. It's the summer and she goes on a vacation with her parents and brother, which does not go to plan. The camping trip gets ruined by a lot of rain, but luckily there is a nice farmer. He has a big shed with a lot of hay where they can set up camp. That is even a bigger adventure than sleeping in a tent on the grass. Cindy meets up with a girl who lives on the other side of the road and end up going to a ballet show. And now onto my last book for this video, De Strandwacht, or The Lifeguard in English. Okay, update time. I'm still reading De Strandwacht, or The Lifeguard, and I'm about a third in the book. Loving it so far, but I'm a bit in a time crunch, so I've decided to make another part of this video. But first I'd like to discuss the notes I took so far while I've read these books. So I want to take you into my computer and show you what I've got so far. Welcome in my Notion. I've made a little table for all the notes. First I read Kleine Zwerver, or Little Tramp, and the notes I took are, long story short, so little description for myself, then some character traits, character flaws, relationships of the characters, world building aspects, plot thingies that I wanted to mention, and things I liked from the story, the things I disliked, and here I want to take notes of the things I want to put in my story, of course. So throughout the video I already told you what the books were about, so I'm going to leave that for now. The character traits that I found in this book. First off, kleine zwerver or little tramp. The main character of the story, her name is Beppie. I don't know what she's called in English, but in Dutch it's Beppie. And she is very persistent and loyal, and her mom is very determined and honest. So those two things were prominent in this story. The character flaw. Well, this whole story is in a POV from the dog. So he actually doesn't understand the language of the humans. So there's a bit of a language barrier. Maybe I can put that in my story. But even though he doesn't know if it's safe, he will still go because he is hungry. The other POV, the old boss of the dog, he wants to have this dog just because he wants to have him. He's a very angry man and he doesn't love the dog. So that is his main flaw. So maybe I can put a very angry human in my story. I don't know yet. The relationships in this book are mother-daughter and girl and a dog, which I found very lovely. The world building aspect that I liked was living on a boat, and maybe with a dog. And the plot of this story is, well, the dog gets rescued from the evil man, of course. What I liked about this story was the girl gets to have the little dog in the end. So what can I put in my story from this book? What are the aspects that I like the most? Well, I never wrote about living on a boat. So that could be a lovely challenge. I've already read about having a dog, so I don't know if I'm going to do that in this story. Okay, I will keep it at this. For now, only one thing, living on a boat. Then I read the Jip and Janneke stories, or according to my research, Bob and Jilly in English. I read about Grandpa's birthday and that Jip and Janneke are making soap bells. It's a very short story and I couldn't get a lot of information of this little story into my notes because, yeah, the things I got are the character traits. Janneke is very creative. Character flaws, I don't know. Do Jip and Janneke have character flaws? I don't think so. But both Jip and Janneke are also persistent and rules based. They get into some trouble sometime, but mostly they kept to the rules. The relationships in these two stories are grandpa-granddaughter and girlfriend-boyfriend, so just friends, because Jip and Janneke are just friends. The world building aspects I wrote down are a garden with daisies, which I loved, and the eye for detail. So how the author had wrote it down, like the color and shine of the soap bells. So descriptive. So that's what I'm going to put in this one. Descriptive. What did wrong? Oh, okay. Show, don't tell. And in this one I will put down the garden with daisies. No clue where I'm going with this, but we'll see. We'll see. Next up was Cindy Danst de Zomer door. Cindy dances through the summer. Character trait: adventurous, likable, sporty, caring. It's all fun and games. It's all lovely, sweet. And that's one thing I wrote down under the dislike column. You're jumping from POV to POV. It's confusing sometimes, and everyone is so nice. So there's one man who is described in about 4 sentences, and he is a very unlikable man. But he never comes back into the story, so that's the one person that is unlikable. The rest of the characters are all sweet and loving and caring, and so I don't know. What I did like was the adventures the girls get to experience with each other. Now I'm going from back to the beginning. That's not what I wanted to do. Go back to character flaws. She didn't have one, which was a bit annoying. Back then, when I was younger, I didn't realize it, because now I'm looking at it with an author's eye, I guess. But she doesn't have a character flaw. She's flat. She's just a nice girl, but there's not much going on. So that is not a thing I want to put in my story. Next up, relationships. Girlfriends. So I don't know which relationship I want to have in my story, so that's a thing I have to come back later. Anyway, some world building aspects of the story are the girls have a sort of a hut or a tree house. They go to ballet, so there's a ballet practice room. The main character, Cindy, is going to camp with her parents and her brother on a farm, and they end up camping in a barn. So that could be something I could put in my story. They go to a theater, and there's a small town vibe-ish. Next up we have the plot. So all the girls get to go to the theater, even the farmer is coming along, and one of the girls never did camping before, and she also gets to stay. What I liked about the story was the adventures the girls get to experience. We already did this one, so I can go to the next one. What do I want to put in my story from this book? Oh man, this is hard, because if I write down the treehouse or the farm that I like the most of this one, how can I write that when I also have living on a boat? I will figure that out later. I will put down farm and barn and going on an adventure. Like I said earlier, the fairy tale book I yeeted away because it was no. As you can see, I already took some notes from the book I'm still reading right now. This one is obviously a thriller and very much eerie, compared to the other books. I'm not quite sure how this will end, but that is something for the next time. Because in my next video I will get some help from a special something, to get more specific character and world building details to be able to write a full good short story. So I'm gonna read the rest of this book, and if you've got something that I need to put in this story that I am making, or if you're writing along, write your own story, please let me know. I would like that. And I would love to read something you've made out these notes that I took. That would be very cool. So yeah, I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!